project lead for BoltCraft, and to introduce, just kind of reintroduce you to the people here. We have our lead producer, Martha, our lead artist, Shazzy, lead designer, Alex, and lead engineer, Josh. So coming into the new semester, we want to reiterate quickly what our game is. What is the core of BoltCraft? BoltCraft is a third-person cooperative board mode action game where you play as a sentient race of alien robots that come to Earth to harvest its resources and kill all the humans. And whenever you get here, you discover that the humans have already wiped themselves out by their own AI creations. So instead of fighting humans, you're fighting against other robots while you're trying to mine the planet for resources. And while you're doing this, you have at your disposal different abilities and different fortifications that you can place down in order to defend your harvesters and collect resources that you need. And to give you an overview of how this presentation is going to go, we're going to start out with the art, followed up by the design, and then the engineering, and then follow into with the production, and then have a demo at the very end. So, hand it off to Shazzy.
So for this semester, kind of the goals on the art side was we wanted to flesh out the 3 characters that are on our poster. So this was the one from last semester that we had. This was my attempt at doing things from scratch because the artist who did that for us wasn't working with us anymore, and then this did not match that style at all, so I just used this model and squashed and stretched and tore it apart and made this, so the style's very much more consistent than this guy. And then we also got a new harvester because during gameplay we found a lot of issues that enemies would get stuck here. It's really hard to easily move around it and just making the gameplay really annoying and frustrating. So instead of having sprawled out, we talked to our artists about making a new harvester that'd be more vertical and compact and still, and we actually talked about the idea of having it be another little robot helper since you're all kind of from the same colony, so we kind of gave it a little bit more personality than the original one that we had. And then redid some of the fortification UI to actually match the models that we have in the game, which is still very similar to this, but it matches our UI style. The actual show kind of some implementation on the engineering side of that, you'll see it in the game too. And then another thing we want to do is build a new level. So our first level is kind of the city map, super dense. And Alex and I have gone back and forth between the art and the balancing it. So then this new level, Alex suggested have it much more kind of open, a wasteland type thing. So, and since it was nighttime dark, we wanted to do something during the daytime open. So right now this is in progress with the balance and the art to figure out, do we need more assets? Is it too open? So we've been working on balancing that out. And then what remains is still music and sound effects. We got some sound effects in that were just kind of placeholders for now, but one of the guys that's doing the music, he's actually friends with the girl that's doing the sound effects, and they're working together on that and kind of doing a mix of 8-bit music since it matches kind of our 8-bit sound effects, but with really epic music, so kind of do the balance of serious but match our characters. And like I said, for the city level, kind of diversify. Right now it's all kind of the same grungy texture and the same 2 buildings, and kind of add some diversity to that, so maybe there's more different token sections of the city map. And for the wasteland, doing the balancing, and then that will kind of influence what assets we need. And then I would like to get the third chassis in. It's kind of the larger player model that's on the poster. And then we added a mortar enemy, so we need that model and animation. And then UI, just kind of making it all consistent in the lobby system we have. And then adding UI for the scrapper and resource system that we implemented this semester.
All right, well, I'm going to talk about the design a little bit. I'll lead into the level design for our main map. Now, basically, the problem was with the old map and the design in general, is that the players were really bound to the harvester, because the harvester was generating all the resources, and there was really nothing else interesting in the map. So essentially, you just stayed near it and didn't explore the world. You didn't experience the content. It was always just the same kind of very limited surface area that you're going to go around. Now what we've done is we've implemented some changes in design, but also the map. So for example, we've tripled the size of the map in terms of the playable area. So it used to be something around like that, and now you see if I can fit this into one more here and one more there approximately. but it's about 3 times as large to go around, kind of pulled it out, pulled the buildings out, give you more space. Also, because we made the map bigger and we pulled the camera back, this not only helps you see the content more, but also helps you shoot at the enemies because it is kind of a very range combat focused game. Being able to see enemies further is important, so we pull out that. In terms of collectible resources, now you might see this little red blip, this little blue blip, a little green blip. We'll see this more in the game, but those are essentially these collectible resources. And now, to build your defenses, you need to use these collectible resources. You have to go out in the world to get them. So that forces the player to leave the harvester to go out and experience the content. And also, we had relocating harvesters, but now also we can have multiple harvesters spawn in the world at once. So if you get your first harvester and you defend it, there'll be another one that comes, and they'll have 2 and 3, etc. So now you have to spread your attention between different harvesters, and so that again forces you to go out and explore and be a lot more dynamic. Yeah, so basically this comes out to our game economy, right? We have 3 new resources on top of the one generated by the harvesters. Now we have kind of 4 resources in play. There's kind of a more complex game economy because you have 4 resources instead of 1. And there's some kind of a puzzle element here because different defenses require different combinations of these resources. You have to kind of think about your economy like, okay, how am I going to allocate all my resources? So there's a bit more thinking. And then also multiple harvesters. So you get the economy that kind of grows over time if you do well. Okay, next. And then in terms of our new enemy, we have a new type of enemy, a mortar enemy. Again, very tied to our theme of forcing the player to go out and explore the world. Basically, it's going to set up somewhere kind of relatively far away from the harvester and start attacking it. So you have to go out and get it. So it's unlike all the other enemies who come to you, you really have to go to it. So again, forcing you to get some movement. And then in terms of balancing, the spawn algorithm is always constantly being tuned to feedback so that it's not too difficult, not too hard, presents interesting enemy variety over time, etc. All right. In terms of what next, basically, Shazzy talked a little bit about this. The wasteland map, we need to, basically tune our design, balancing it a bit so that it's as fun as the city map. Further tuning enemy spawning, that's a very constant process of feedback. Just iterate. Tuning the defense costs. Basically, so they cost certain resources. Okay, certain combinations work better than others. Increasing the player synergy because it is a co-op game between 2 players. Just making sure that all the abilities and resources make co-op synergy work better. And then increase size of the play test pool. Basically, get more people, get more eyes on the game, get more feedback. All right.
Okay, so
Yeah.
In terms of engineering, coming in this semester, we had most of our major features implemented. So we had our old network game, we had a network lobby, and we had all the major game loop and game systems in place already. And in terms of our integration during the semester, so we had all the player models, the enemy models, the harvester, the turret models, and stuff like that. And we had simple graphic effects and sound effects for different things the player would do, but we didn't have too much stuff. So thanks. So what we want to do now is we want to focus mostly on polishing, polish. So we want to improve the user experience by updating the UI and overhauling them. Not necessarily updating the systems too much, but more changing how the players will interact with the systems. And we want to continue the integration of arts and sounds. And we talked about the mortar enemy and the resource system. We wanted to add some small features that would help bring about our new design and player experience goals. And of course, fix bugs and improve whatever we have right now. So yeah, in terms of what we've done, as Alex and Chase talked about, we implemented a new resource system besides just scraps. So they spawn So last semester, what we had was like notes kind of awkward, so you have to like open the menu and then use the D-pad to like navigate to what you wanted, and then hit the button, and then it would spawn and you place it. So it was like a lot of effort just to place the turrets. We want to kind of streamline that. So now what it does is like you can move the right stick, and it just moves like a cursor around. You can see it right there. You just select what you want, and if you have enough resources, it'll place it, or it'll let you place it. So then, yeah. And then other like general, just like playability things we added was we had like an on-screen indicator. So if the harvester is off screen, it shows this little blue indicator that helps guide the player, like figure out where they are on the map, so they know like okay, where should I be defending, so on. And it also shows up like mortar enemies, which are like little red indicators. So yeah. And in terms of like what we're gonna do next, is since we're coming into midterm now, we want to lock down all the features besides like minor UI tweaks and so on. And we want to focus more on just improving the look and feel of the game, and polishing everything. And we want to continue with their integration of sound and art. And obviously, of course, continue fixing any remaining bugs and improve everything, make it perform better. So, yeah.
Okay, in terms of production, what happened this semester is a lot of things happening for our team. For the first, like our engineering time size like half so we drastically dropped the size of the team. So like how we handle that in terms of the production. Luckily enough, last semester we almost get all our major feature like locked down. So like in terms of this semester, all of the leads like involved in the engineering, the engineering side. So it's not giving like too big impact for our team. But we have like a lot of things that we plan to add this semester, but we didn't get to like add some more things. And last semester we also mentioned that we want to like have weekly 2 meetings in a week, and we applied it to this semester, and it works out really well. We almost have a stable build every week now, and summary for like all the like for the art and engineering and the design, like as you already heard from Shazi, like we have a lot of art get into a lot of new art get into the game in terms of like UI, like visual cue or something like that. And we also like for the engineering side, like we have like all our major features already in there, so we just need to like improve a little bit, like or edit some like make minor feature in the future. And then for like the game design, we also have like update on the game the game economy, and then the multiple harvester to like make the player like go around the map. And in terms of like our engineering went down, in the first 2 weeks, like first 3 weeks, we tried to like speeding up. We tried to like bug fixing, refactoring all the stuff that we got from last semester, and we tried to like keeping up the pace since the second week until like you can see like from the second week our prediction is gonna be like finished before week 10, and we try to like keeping up the pace until the week 6, and for like since week 6 to week 9 we trying to we kind of like slowing down because of like midterm and GDC, but we try to still like keep the pace so we can still finish before week 14. So after week 9 we're gonna like feature log we're gonna do the feature log, and most likely like heavily on art. In terms of like what next in production, like we already mentioned before, more art, more music, so like a player can more immersed in the game. And then we plan to do like weekly testing so we can get more feedback from like new players. And after the testing, we get to know like what bugs or what feature is not working properly, what we intended to do. So it's gonna like do kind of like cycle. After the testing, then go back fixing and more art, and testing again, bug fixing, and that's it. I think now it's time for our demo.
Have a demo for you all. Alex is going to
Comment on anything. Yeah, so yeah, we have our 2-player co-op working 100%, so we're just gonna play a 2-player game. There we go. So yeah, customization. So So yeah, basically we have our customization menu here, and we made this kind of, we tried to make it a little bit more intuitive. We're kind of, you see how the selection now is just the whole area, instead of kind of being this awkward kind of text and then a symbol, and it was focusing your eyes away from what was important. So then, and then you have your buttons here, we have back buttons, we have all kinds of these new UX prompts. You can set your name now, and other players can see your name in the game, which is kind of important. So now he's going to look for a server. There we go. So yeah, we have a server name. We have, you know, the number of players and the max players thing. You have a loading screen, so you know you have it frozen when the game installs, which is important. And there you go. There's our new kind of lobby, which we're very happy with. So you can see the players connecting. You can see who's the host. You can change some attributes. You can make it hard, hardcore. You can see when the player's ready up. And there we go. Bing. There we go. So you see other players' names. They're different colors as well. And as you see, we pull the camera out significantly so then you can see much further out, because when you're shooting, you can shoot your gun. Yeah, you can have a much better idea of where projectiles are going and aim them much further down. Those are the resources that are in the map, in the world, that you have to go get. So it forces you again to kind of explore the world to see what there is to see. There isn't a lot of kind of like clutter items like flavor, but in terms of the blocking is there. So right now there's one harvester and they're trying to defend it. They successfully, well, there's our menu. They successfully defend it, and maybe they'll get more than one harvester at once to defend. The first wave just starts out with just the melee enemies, and then kind of as time goes on, it adds more enemy types. So you get, as a new player, you get exposed to more enemies as you go instead of all of them at once. You know, overwhelm the players. Also, in terms of the game flow, they can place their defenses at any time, not just during the interwave phase, which no longer exists. It's kind of just a continuous stream of action. So right now, we're still in wave 1, but when they're done, it basically goes immediately to wave 2, just minimize downtime. So yeah, that's our laser turret, and you just place down a healing turret. A laser turret is very much a kind of a defensive structure which attacks enemies. Healing is used to heal yourself.
Just keep coming.
Well, it does scale the number of players there are. So again, if you play as 2 players, you get like twice as many enemies essentially. So they just keep coming. Jesus. There's no friendly fire in this, thank God, because it would be a mess. Hey, get back to laser turret. This is nuts.
Oh,
Zero now because there's one harvester. Combat does tend to center around the one harvester, especially because essentially the collectible resources respawn on each new wave. So you can't abuse the system by like hiding one enemy around and just getting infinite resources for the first wave. But at the same time, if there's no other wave, then you don't get more resources. I don't know, maybe like the difficulty is really high in the modifiers. Yeah, see there's a red indicator on the top there, which shows you that there's more enemy in that location.
no, don't let it get destroyed.
Yeah, I think that's just killed it.
It's there. Yeah, we have no model or anything, so.
Well, there is a model. It's just like a simple character. It's that guy. He's he's a placeholder for a mortar. He has about the same probably poly count, so very footprint, but he's not like a vehicle. There we go. So there's our wave. So see the resources they pop back. They pop back, and there's a probabilistic model. Like essentially, they could just not happen. They could happen as one of the 3 other resources. So now we're on wave 2. And waves get harder with time. So I think we're gonna see the range enemies.
Yes.
Yeah, the range enemies are right there with the shields.
How do we know?
Yeah, it's still
So
missing.
right now, when you try to place them, if you hover over the thing with your cursor, it'll turn red.
Yeah, it'll show you if you can't afford it, but currently we just need a little thing to show us.
We're planning to move it like under where the shield UI is.
That's for the ones on you, and then also the bank, which is going to probably be on the right side with the scrap. So yeah, see we have that harvester there, and then we have that harvester down there. And there's different enemy types, so there's like the range enemies of shields, so if they got the shield and starts hurting their health, the shields do regenerate if you don't damage them enough. You have regenerating shields, but not regenerating health, obviously. That's why the health turret exists, for the health defense. In terms of like the budgeting, as I was saying, it's currently in iteration. We do a lot from the single player perspective. I think from the 2-player perspective, it's definitely too high. Because the scaling is not linear, so sometimes it can be a bit hard, high priority to determine. Did we lose our other house?
Yes, we did. It died just at the end of the last
Rest
one.
in peace. So you see like all the projectiles, they do bounce against the walls. So like,
For this guy.
yeah, for this gun. This is the railgun. Essentially there's like the railgun and the laser gun. Now both of them took the railgun, so that's why you see them bouncing all over the place. Because they will just keep going until they hit something, or they just go off map. What you notice is that for the spawn zones, there used to be like smoke and a bunch of lighting effects. We found that kind of focused the player attention on something that they shouldn't be looking at, so we removed them. So now it's enemies just kind of spawn from the edges of the map. And it's a bit more abstracted, and the players still won't necessarily kind of see where the enemies are supposed to spawn, which is supposed to be hidden, obfuscated from the player. Oh, there's a more enemy again. You see the indicator over there. It's coming. Yeah, see, this is kind of like essentially an illustration of like, there's definitely a resource economy in this game, so if you don't break your harvesters, it will start to hurt. And while a harvester, if you lose it, it doesn't make you lose the game, it makes it increasingly harder for you to keep up. So eventually you will lose if you don't manage your resources correctly. So that's really the thinking aspect of this game.
They said you need resources badly. How do you know that?
Because we can't place any.
Yeah, and eventually, and since the number of enemies scales with the wave number, eventually there will be just simply too many for one person to handle. There we go. Yes, that's another wave.
Alright.
Yeah, if the harvester would have been dead, we wouldn't have gotten any scrap. Scrap is like essentially the most, like every defense requires it, so it's really the most essential component of the economy. So if you don't keep your harvesters alive, it will start to hurt. But luckily, every I think it's every new wave we get a new harvester, but this is tweakable value. So you're not ever completely screwed. You have a chance to redeem yourself as harvesters just keep coming. But if you don't defend them, it will start to hurt. Especially since you don't get your resources until the wave is over. So if you lose it, if you get a new one and you lose it that wave, you don't get any reward. So there is an incentive to really defend them. So those little dogs are like an enemy that will come up to you or your defenses or your harvester and will blow up. So that's kind of, and it's a faster enemy. It's something that you really got to pay attention to, really more than anything else.
The grenades don't seem to damage, they seem to stun.
Yeah, so they stun enemies. They do a bit of damage. The thing is, with the railgun, it does a lot of damage per bullet, but it fires slower. So that's why I'm taking most of these guys out in one shot. The grenade just killed that suicide indicator.
Yeah, there's the damage is also some.
Yeah. So if it doesn't kill them, it's stunned.
Yeah, they just need there's a little animation, a little particle effect on the enemy as they're stunned, essentially, which is missing as a visual feedback. Oh no, it's gonna go down. Oh. So this is a perfect illustration of why we're changing the harvester. We have the model. We're just gonna swap it in next week. You see how it gets stuck on the sides of it? Like Mason is like, I want to get around, but these huge things are in the way blocking my view. This is why we're changing them. That's exactly why. Because they tend to get in the way of being played. There you go. That's not even stuff. Oh no! Rest in peace, game economy.
Alright, one more harvester.
See, that one spawned where the old one was because basically the algorithm, it sees that there's an empty spot and it randomly chooses one it faces. So I could come at another spot, there's several spots on the map, but it could also come back to where it was originally. That's essentially arbitrary. So it's not a predictable pattern where you can, pre-place your defenses knowing that next way it's going to be like that. It's unpredictable. So you really have to adapt to the situation. There's also all the sound effects for all the guns. They're just like, I think probably the sound device is not TV.
Yeah. Yeah, there's also music.
Yeah, there's music, there's sound effects for all the guns, there's sound effects for the turrets. It's all in there. Definitely the music is a big part of this game, which is why we definitely paid a lot of attention to it. We got some good music people because when you have music, it completely changes the feel of the gameplay.
Oh, bummer, we don't have a speaker set for this PC?
It doesn't look like that.
Okay. Alright, we will fix that next time around.
Oh, there is some. That's a TV. There we go.
Oh, hey! It's magic!
There we go. See that you have a music over all the sound effects. And that adds. Did it just loop? Yeah, we just got the tail end of it. If you have a little game poster over there, you can see the camera. That's a nice little detail. That's kind of detail. All right. Woo! All right. Woo! All right.
Okay, questions? Actually, not so much a question, but just a observation. With your UI, you're taking a paradigm of this color is the selected color, and the other color is the not selected color. But sometimes when it's binary, you can't tell which one's which.
There's always two choices.
So I recommend selected square and no square at all. That way, if there is a bounding box you haven't selected, it will save a lot of confusion.
It's definitely showing that your eyes can actually tell out right away which one it is.
Yeah, which one is it? I don't know.
I
I'm gonna go with.
Or a little arrow or something.
I was gonna go with blue because main menu is gray. But I was wrong. What do I know?
Still good. Thanks for the feedback.
No worries. Actually, tell me a little bit about, share if you will, how your experience with syncing sound animation and sound effects for purposes of gameplay that feels right.
So basically, since the game is like networked, we try to drive everything using a state machine. So the idea is that we want to kind of drive these sounds and effects for like the player and stuff using the state machine. Instead of when the player starts a shooting state, we'll start all the shooting animation and all that stuff. So like we try to keep like the correspondence between like, the effects that are playing and what they're doing in the game itself. And then we try to like encode the effects based on like if you start shooting, we'll start the
trigger and there's an effect that plays, like basically there's no possibility to interrupt that at any point. Like, so it's like things like running, if you get shot, you'll just transition right into a death animation like that. So there's not a lot of effects that take place over enough time that they can be really interrupted. So I shoot a gun, you know, a little bullet comes out, there's a little effect that plays. There's really nothing I can do in between when I press the trigger and when it happens that can get interrupted. So that's the case of a lot of the effects, is just like there's no time to interrupt them.
Design.
Yeah.